Yes. Stewart and Adam, again, are injured, but making progress. Archie Gray will be, we think, on the pitch tomorrow, so starting getting closer to training with the full team. And then the only other update is Luis Sinisterra. So Luis Sinisterra has a foot injury that it turns out to be more than what we originally thought it was. He wasn't making the progress that we were hoping for him to make over the last 10 days. And so they did another scan, and then they had a specialist looked at it, and they start to worry about it being a Lis Frank injury. So maybe you guys have heard of that, maybe you haven't. It's a rare injury that controls the movement of the metatarsals, and when that is ruptured, it can be a long recovery. We don't believe it's ruptured. We believe it's partially torn, which puts him in a little bit of a gray area, but probably out until after the World Cup break. So we'll know more about that today. And again, we're hopeful that it's a version that doesn't take him out for long. That's it.
Hi, Jesse.
Hi.
You were relatively calm after the match on Saturday, given the scale of the win. But can you sum up what it meant to you, to the players, and what impact it's had on the mood around the club this week?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still kind of in the same place. It's obviously it was a good win, but it's also kind of frustrating that, you know, we can perform like this in certain games, and then we've let too many points in games slip away in other against other opponents. And so, you know, it's a little hard for even me to understand and appreciate at that moment, because I'm still thinking about the fact that we should be further up the table, we should further along in our process, but we're not. So obviously there's joy that we get a result like that, but also, you know, concern and frustration that we haven't done more in other moments. Now this week, I think there's been real concentration on what's necessary for this weekend, and our focus entirely is to build momentum. In order to do that, we have to get a result and a win against Bournemouth.
Can that win against Liverpool have a transformative effect on your season? And just how important is it to back it up now with 3 points against Bournemouth?
That's the important thing. Is my mind right after the match again was squarely on making sure that we're prepared for this weekend. I said last week at this press conference, I was tired of losing. I'm tired of being in a situation where we have to dig ourselves out of. We're not out of that yet. We're still there, but the only way now is to get the result on Saturday.
Quite often when teams are having a difficult period, managers and head coaches go with experienced players. But you've given some of the younger guys a chance, and Somerville rewarded you, didn't he, last Saturday with the winning goal? But is that part of your philosophy to put these players in and give them their opportunity? And how hopeful are you about the future with these players coming through?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's whether you're young or old, it's all about what you're establishing and exhibiting on the training pitch. Cree, for me, it was a little unfortunate that Cree picked up the injury last year. I think it was for the match against Southampton, maybe. Might have been Watford, actually. Palace. That's right, Palace. Thank you. And he was starting to look really good in training then, and I was thinking that he could be a player that could help us push toward the end of the season last year, and unfortunately we didn't get him going. I talked after the game against Liverpool that a big factor for him is discipline and professionalism and work ethic. I've been on top of him again this week to make sure that he has a very good training week, and he has. He's looked really good. And we're hopeful that he can establish himself more and more. And Willie, I think, is in the same vein, except that his professionalism and work ethic and clarity for what this world is incredibly good. He's very mature for an 18-year-old. And it's interesting because Cree and Willie have sparked up a really good friendship. And I think Willie's had a real positive effect on Cree. And I think that those two together can be part of the core of young players, or can be the core of the young players that can kind of push us forward and continue to help all the young, talented, specifically attacking players we have establish themselves more and more.
Thank you.
It was a little bit of everything. Yeah, I think, making sure that he was getting here early enough, making sure that he was putting work in the gym, that he was preparing for training the right way, that he was paying attention in video, that he was applying the lessons that we wanted to learn in training every day. That, even then when he was playing with the 21s, typically when he played with the 21s, he was performing well. He's a gamer. He loves the match. Right? But it was more about like helping him understand what the entire process of being a top professional is and making sure that he's committing to it all the way. Yeah, I think he's still, from a tactical perspective, against the ball, can be connected with the team more and more and more and be really making sure that he's always in the right tactical position. When he is around the ball, both against the ball and with the ball, he comes alive. He's one of our best players in terms of pressing and counter-pressing and winning balls. And then obviously on the ball right now, he's very confident. And he's very hard to take the ball off of, and he's very dynamic in those moments. And then I think he can be, as much as he scored 2 goals in the last 2 games, I think he can be more dynamic in transition and creating even more chances for himself and others. So his potential is very high. I've talked to him about that from the very beginning, and we just need to keep pushing him every day in terms of his mentality of being a pro and then the technical and technical aspects of what we're trying to achieve.
In last week, you said you tried a myriad of different things and you were undecided as to what to keep and what not to keep.
Yeah.
What have you kept this week that you think might work?
Well, it's been a little bit of a different week because we sent a lot of guys to play in the 21s, the Papa John's tournament. So even those guys had the day off today. They'll come back in tomorrow. We've kind of, I think tried to find ways to look at video and look at the opponent and to assess what was good and what was needed to be better against Liverpool, and then how it applies to what we want to achieve on Saturday. So it hasn't been the same kind of week, but I'm always trying to, whether it's set piece preparation or training methods or video presentations, always trying to come up with new ways of doing things because players get tired of routines. So do I, frankly. So, yeah, I think that part has been important. Just not being so committed to the routine, exact same routine.
And what about Bournemouth, Jesse? They're on not a great run at the moment. They haven't won in 4. What value do you put in climbing above a side that's just come up from the division below?
Yeah, Bournemouth in general, I know that they haven't gotten a lot of results, but again, if you look at their metrics, they're actually improving as a team, and I think they're more and more in matches. We believe that they are very lethal in the counterattacking situations, and so they defend very hard. They defend sometimes a little bit deeper. They sometimes like to press a little bit higher, but then get into a deeper block, and they're very intensive in some of those defensive moments, and they're very quick to get into the counter. And it showed in the Tottenham match. And a lot of their matches lately, I think the manager's done a great job of taking them out of a moment early in the season where they looked like they were in trouble to making them stronger and making them clear on exactly what their play model is. So who they play and exactly how they play, they have some variability. They played 5 in the back last game, defended 5 in the back. Sometimes they build with 5, but defend more with 4. So we've had to prepare for a few different things. But we know that in the end, we have to know them, but we have to now be ready to perform at our best. That's a big focus this week, is knowing the opponent, but then making sure that we're ready to be at our best. Yep.
Hi, Jesse. Do you think Crescencio could become a regular goal scorer? How important is it that you find another player who can score regularly for you?
Yeah, I think he's a dangerous player. Cree. And so how many, is he going to score every game like he has the last 2? No. But I think he can be a big part of unbalancing the opponent by scoring goals, by setting plays up, by being good in transition and certainly being good in pressing. So, it's too bad that, if we can get him, Weiss, Jack, Brendan, Rodri, Patrick, then we can, Willie, Joffy, like we can then start to have a core of attacking players that could be really fun if we get all those guys in top form. That's what we're trying to achieve.
Speaking of fun, did Crescencio have a good birthday?
Yeah. He wanted to go home, and I said no. Yeah, but we actually had a Halloween party as well. Scheduled. So we did that with families and all the players and first team staff after our training session on Sunday.
Who had the best fancy dress?
All the guys were pretty amazing. Probably Pascal Stroik. He was like a hippie. So he probably had the best one.
We need to see a picture of this,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I know that obviously the focus is on Crescencio because he scored the winning goal at Anfield, but Elan Meslier, his form in that game was incredible. Just how well do you think he is? How good is he at just 22 years old?
Yeah, I mean, I think this has been a little bit of a crescendo for him of putting really strong performances together. And now on a night, it comes together in a big way for him and for us. Certainly, he needs to use that to gain confidence and belief and know how good he can be. And I think we all know his talent is high, and we're just trying to help him mature and push himself daily to be the goalkeeper that we need. And so he fits well with us because he's a good shot stopper and he's good in 1v1 situations and in transition phases. So I thought that he stood up big in those moments, and obviously it was a big key to us getting through it.
Do you expect him to be in France's World Cup squad?
I spoke to him about that about a month ago, and he seemed to think it was unrealistic. So I would just go off of that. But I think as a young goalkeeper, he fits the criteria for that third goalkeeper position in a World Cup squad.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hi, Jesse. You've beaten Chelsea, beaten Liverpool. You deserve something from Arsenal. Is there a way, apart from scoring the first goal, to nullify teams who are more inclined to set up in more of a deep block or to frustrate, teams who you might be more expected to be on paper?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of little things in there. I think there's with the ball tactics and movements and ideas. We still are a team that if we gain an advantage in possession, we think we almost always have to go direct. And that's not the idea. The idea is to now understand how to unbalance teams through a lot of tactical positioning and ball movement, and then what are the last third kind of movements and connections we want to have. And too often we have a concept we call often option A, option B, option C, with option A being the most threatening, most vertical action of the time or possibility, and then option C being sort of the third most vertical. And too often we are always in our mind is option A. And then it means that we're giving the ball away too often. We're losing too many advantages by thinking we can always make the most important play at that moment. And then it sometimes means that we're not able to set up our counter-pressing and rest defense tactics in moments, which then means if we lose bad balls that the opponent has more space to get out on the counter. For this game, and that balance and understanding will be really important.
You're talking about how Willie and Cree have struck up a friendship. How important has the Leadership Council been in terms of this season? Because we heard a lot about it last year in the run-up to the last game of the season, but how important has it been with the influence on the young players and that sort of thing?
No, it's a good question, and those guys are incredibly vital to what we do here, but the issue has been that too many of them have been injured. So with Stuart and Adam, a long time. Luke was out in the beginning of the year. Patrick wasn't healthy. I mean, there were some games where we made Robin captain because none of the 6 Leadership Council players were healthy. And so obviously getting Luke back has been really important. Getting Coops healthy and going has been really important. And we need, and then Rodri, I think, has been a pretty consistent guy with the team. And so at one point we sat in this room and I said, listen, right now you guys got to be strong and I need you. I need you to help me in this moment, and I need you to be clear that we need to push the group and make sure that there's no little things going on behind the scenes, that we stay on top of being positive and maintaining the belief. So those guys have been vital for that.
Jesse, the number 10 shirt is an iconic shirt in football. It means a lot to some players. The team's best player wore it last season. Can you talk us through the summer story of how somebody as inexperienced as Crescencio got it and what that means to him and the team and his status?
I'm not really sure how he got the number 10, to be honest. I just got a text from Victor after it wasn't even the start of the season. He said, Cree will be number 10. I said, okay. I mean, I've had a lot of teams where there has been no number 10. I think it's an overplayed number and moniker in our sport. I was 15. I always thought 15 was like the new 10.
How's it all been this week? Have you felt a release in that pressure? We all felt it coming into Liverpool. It really was. The air was thick with it. Has it felt
Yeah.
a lot clearer this week? Yes
and no. I mean, I think the urgency has been the same. The desire to find a way. Again, I don't feel in any way that we're out of the phase where things weren't going our way and where we weren't getting results. And the only way to ensure that we can really start to push the process, and even though we only have like 2 weeks left in this moment of the season, I think it's vital for us to get as many points out of the next 2 matches as possible so that we can go into the break feeling like we're coming back and we're going to be even stronger. Yep.
Are you saying to Somerville at the moment, look, the shirt is yours now and you need to keep it? Or is he not quite at that point yet, despite the last couple of games?
No, I think it's an opportunity for him to use the moment to strengthen his position within the group. That's what I've said to him. And so I think that's, he can't, and I said in front of the group, I said, I'm watching him. I told him in front of the group that I'm watching him now, and I'm going to stay on top of him even more. And we have to make sure that there's no slipping back and that we're only going forward from here. So he's had a really good training.
Saturday was probably Rasmus Christensen's best game, although he's had a couple recently.
Yeah.
It was quite a tough start for him here, or a slow start. What do you think has made the difference? Just time to set?
Yeah, I think adapting to the league. I wouldn't say he had a slow start. I think against Wolves he was pretty solid, and in preseason he was very good. Obviously, the level of the league, and then the fact that the fullbacks in this league sometimes have the hardest task because the winger position in almost every team is usually equipped with the best players from teams and the opponents. But I think the key for him has been that he's been more aggressive against the ball and with the ball. That he's shown more confidence and more self-belief, and he's gone after it in a bigger way, physically, mentally, everything. So with the way I like to coach and manage, aggressiveness is a key. It's a key. And we can't have passive players on the pitch. So I think he's gone through that with me already in Salzburg, and I think he just had to readapt to another level of what the quality is and then start to exhibit more and more what I know he has.